Chapter 7. God, Izzy, you feel so fucking good wrapped around my cock. So fucking tight, he rasps as he slowly thrusts his long, thick length into my waiting body. Never felt anything as good as you. His hands tighten on my hips as his pumping picks up speed. His powerful rocking is rubbing my erect nipples in the most delightful way against his sheets. I dig my fingers into the sheets, trying but not succeeding in keeping my moaning down. All I want to do is scream out in pleasure with every single thrust and every single roll of his hips. He gives a good push in, the tip of his generous cock hitting my cervix. Each thrust now has tightening up and lightning bolts of sheer pleasure shooting from my pussy to every part of my body. My fingers tingle, my toes curl. My breasts feel like they are throbbing. Every single inch of my skin is on fire for this boy. Fuck me, he rumbles, his breathing coming in fast bursts against my back, like you were made for me, baby. I'm afraid to open my mouth, to respond with any kind of sound that will let him know he has me feeling the exact same way. I know the second I unclench my lips, screams of pure ecstasy will come bolting out. God, I love him. He's right, we fit together like we are meant to be. Both our bodies aligned perfectly. Our movements are in perfect sync with each other, and our thoughts communicate wordlessly. His hand reaches between my thighs, and he starts to roll his thumb in delicious circles, making my body's pleasure reach even higher than before. Come with me, princess. Come fucking with me. Right when my pleasure reaches insurmountable levels and the claws of the most powerful orgasms start taking hold, I wake up, sitting straight up with a giant jolt. I hear a thump to my right and look over to see Dee sticking her tired head up over the side of the bed. Unhappiness with a twinge of confusion mars her pretty face. Her hair is sticking up in every direction possible, and her flawless makeup from the night before is smudged under her eyes and lips. If I weren't still feeling the effects of that dream, I might laugh. She looks absolutely ridiculous. Jesus Christ, Iz. A simple wake-up would have sufficed, too. Sorry, I snort, earning me a new glare. I take my eyes from the tiny ball of unhappiness on the floor and slowly look around my room, trying to figure out what feels so different, well, besides waking up with Dee in my bed. Freaking weirdo. A knock at my door has me frowning even deeper. For the life of me, I can't seem to figure out what feels so off. The door opens a crack and Greg pokes his head in. Hey, he says hesitantly. Okay if I come in? And that is all it takes for it all to come rushing back in crystal clear HD Technicolor. My birthday, the package, Club Carnal, and Axel. Dee pulls herself off the floor, rubbing her ass as she pushes past Greg on her way out the door and mumbling heated words under her breath. Someone woke up happy, Greg says, walking over to the edge of my bed, taking a seat. He looks over at me, digging in for what seems to be a nice little visit. Morning, baby girl. Sleep okay? He looks so awkward in my girly room. His brown hair is tousled in a just-woke-up way, giving him an almost boyish look to his normal, hard face. He's wearing sweats and a tight white undershirt, showing off his thick, muscled arms. He screams masculinity in my frilly room. Slept decent, I guess, or at least I think I did. I pick at some imaginary lint on my comforter, not looking up into his knowing eyes. I feel him shift, turning to his side so he is facing me. Still, I don't look up. Look at me, baby girl. I need to see that you're okay. I take in a big pull of air, hold it, and look up. His sleepy look is long gone, and his hard, controlled stare is firmly in place. A stare of which I am not used to being on the receiving end. I've seen him give it 1,000,000 times before. It's his look that always means business. Business no matter what. A look that you do not want to cross. Guess this means it's game on. I was really hoping he would have just let this go. There wasn't anything left to hash out. Look, G, I know you mean well, but this shit isn't something I want to deal with. Not now, not later. I'm not even sure I want to ever deal with it again. What's left to say at this point, huh? That road? It is not one I want to go down again. It's been blocked off with detour signs for a long time now. Huge fucking warning signs telling me to walk the other direction. I would be setting myself up for more pain and heartbreak, and that is not something I want to do. Is it too much to ask for me to just be allowed a little happiness? Some of this darker cloud to dissipate? I don't even give him a chance to get a word out, cutting him off before he can try and plow right over me. We know now that you and him are friends. Let's just leave it. You can be friends with him and you can be friends with me. I don't see why the two ever have to intermix. Ever. I can tell he's trying to talk his temper down. Or maybe he's just having some convoluted one-sided argument with himself. Who knows? I don't care at this point. There is no way I am doing this. Not when it is still cutting so fresh into my skin. I feel like I have a movie rolling in my head over and over with the same images of a past forgotten and a future lost. Izzy, this isn't going to just go away. Sooner or later it will have to be dealt with. I know he's right. I really do. But that doesn't mean I have to agree with him. Denial is a perfectly acceptable place to pack up and move to. He is going to be my partner now. He lives here and his staying is. He isn't going to just disappear. I don't have the energy for this fight, and I know it will end up being a heavy one. A fight I will need all my wits for. Going into battle with Greg is never easy. I get that this might not be going away, but that doesn't mean I have to deal with it right fucking now. I feel like punching something. Why can't we just pretend that last night never happened? I'm the queen of fucking brushing it under the rug. That's a game I can play with the best of them. Out of sight, out of mind. Baby girl, this pains me. I feel guilty as shit right now. You might be able to forget or try to, but I can't. I know what last night has cost you, and I can't sit back knowing you are in pain. He shakes his head, his blue eyes losing that bright shine. I should have known, but fuck is. I didn't ever know him as Axel. He pauses again. Whether he is going for dramatic flair or just trying to figure out the best way to piss me off, I don't know. But right when I get ready to freak the fuck out on him, he continues. I've only ever known him as Reed. When we met at Basic, he was H. Reed, and from then on we only ever called him Reed. Axel, fuck, baby girl, but he was never Axel. When we first got out and he started up his security gig, that was the only other time I've ever heard him refer to himself as anything other than Reed. And I promise you this, it was not Axel. Why is this so important? If I didn't care so much about my friendship with Greg, I would fucking kill him, go all crazy white girl on his ass. Holt, right? I laugh without humor. He always hated that name. Said it reminded him of his old man. I mumble, back to picking at the invisible lint. Greg, can we please not do this right now? He looks at me, assessing for a while, taking me in and once again trying to figure out how to weigh his words. Is we are fucking doing this. I won't let you sit here and fester in your hurt, not when I can fix it. Not when I have the power to do something this time. Hard and spitting, no argument. His tone leaves no room for wiggling. He's settled in and ready to go at it. Stubborn fucking ass. We really are too much alike sometimes. I'm fine, really. I just need to process. I lie. He knows I'm lying. I can see it in his face. He might have come in ready to play, but he didn't have this hardness about his eyes at first. My lying just confirmed his thoughts, and I'm not handling this well. You aren't fine, baby girl, far from it. And if you expect me to sit here and buy that plate of shit you are insisting on dishing up, you're out of your fucking mind. You forget I know you. That play won't work with me. Greg, seriously? I screech. Are you fucking serious right now? I am not trying to serve you some shit. I just don't want to go there. It really is just as simple as that. I have no hidden motive here. Just give me a goddamn break. You know, you fucking know what he meant to me. Could you just give me a minute to, I don't know, process this shit? Dead, G. He has been dead for 12 years and all of a sudden he isn't? That isn't something I can just wake up and deal with. I can tell I struck a nerve, and I might feel bad if I wasn't so pissed off. He isn't letting me figure this out. He isn't letting me think. I just want a second, just a fucking second to wrap my head around this colossal mindfuck. He looks a little more understanding after my outburst. Not by much, but I can see that he's trying hard to see this from my shoes. I'll give you today, Izzy, but hear me this. We will be talking about this. No pushing it away, no locking this in tight. This can has been opened, and try as you might, there is no way you're getting those worms back in. He squeezes my leg and stands, leveling me with one more serious look before he turns to stomp heavily out of my room, firmly snapping the door shut behind him. Well, that went well. I know he is right, I do. I have to deal with this. I might not want to, and it isn't going to be pretty, but I have to face this. With everything else going on, it isn't something I even want on my radar. But it's there. I'll deal with it, but on my terms, and it will not be today. I lie back down and roll onto my side, facing the big picture window, looking up into the bright, cloudless Georgia sky. What a fucked up mess. I still have to deal with Brandon, the divorce, or actually the lack of one, and his continued reminders that he is in my life and knows how to reach me, how to hurt me. Now I have to deal with Axel and the past I've been struggling to forget and move on from for almost half of my life. Oh, how cruel fate is. It really is funny sometimes how everything comes full circle. Just when you think your life is headed in one clear-cut direction, the light turns red and the turn signal comes on. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't wish my parents were still here, happily residing a few counties over in our old small 3-bedroom ranch. If I hadn't lost them, I never would have had Dee come into my life. And even though it doesn't take away the pain of their loss, I have to consider myself lucky on some counts. Even through the dark times of my marriage, when our contact was few and far between, I always knew she was there and always would be. Through Dee came Greg, another thing I wouldn't have in my life if my parents had survived that wreck. He is another person Dee roped in with her overwhelming personality. She met him when she was dating his cousin, and even though the cousin didn't last, her friendship with Greg did. She can't help it. She just has something about her that people want to be around. She has that permanent outlook that everything is right in the world. And lucky for me, he just happened to be close the night she came to save me, even though I don't remember him showing up with her. By the time she made it to me, I had completely blacked out. The first time I saw him, my initial reaction had been fear. Greg Mad is not someone you want to be around. When he saw me step out of the van that day, his reaction scared the shit out of me. Huge, raging mad, and ready to kill. No one was more shocked than I was when the feral giant turned human shield. He was ready to protect me from anything, and that has never changed. I know I am lucky with the friendships I have with Dee and Greg. They are the only two people I have left in the world, the only two people I know would die before they hurt me. They are my family now. Family I sometimes want to hurt, but family nonetheless. It is hard sometimes to deal with all my fucked upness. I know it isn't easy for them. When I have a setback, they both have to deal with it right alongside of me. I go and crawl into myself. Dee goes into worried mother mode, and Greg goes into his protective grizzly alpha persona. Dee and I are close, and we always will be. But Greg and I share a bond of loss and heartache no one else will ever touch. I still remember the look he had in his eye when he told me about his sister. That was the only time I have ever seen his hard self shed a tear. I broke down, clinging to him, mourning his sister, but also feeling the pain the last 6 years of my life had embedded in me with the stark, cold knowledge that I could have had a very different ending. That was the day he promised me he wouldn't let my husband touch me, the day he promised to do everything he could to keep the pain at bay. I roll back over and stare up at the ceiling, following the fan's rotations with my eyes, letting the memories of the past come rolling back over me. I remember when I was as constantly happy as Dee, always looking at the world with rose-colored goggles. I wasn't the most popular girl in school, but I had a good number of close friends. My childhood was so full of laughter and love. My parents were the things dreams are made of. They were always happy, always smiling, and always full of love. Love for me and love for life. For a parent-child relationship, ours wasn't the most conventional. I could go to them with anything, and they never cast judgment or scorn. Not a day went by that I didn't feel the joy I had brought into their lives. I was lucky enough to meet the love of my life young. We had a relationship that reminded me of my parents. Always happy, always smiling, and always full of love. I had 3 of the best young and dumb years in my life with that boy. I thought I was untouchable, and I thought that our love was unbreakable. Together we could overcome anything that life threw at us. By his side, I was complete. Axel left for boot camp 3 days after he graduated from high school, and that, unfortunately, meant he was leaving me behind in the process. I understood this. Hell, I had even rallied behind him. I wanted what would make him happy, and I knew he was setting his own path, proving to the world that he was nothing like his parents, who had cared more about their next big fix than their own son. Axel had been living in and out of foster homes for the better part of his 18 years, and knowing he had nothing to offer me for a solid future, he did the only thing that made sense to him. He enlisted in the Marines. Together with my parents by my side, we dropped him off at the bus station with a promise to reunite and live out all of our dreams when I graduated the next year. That day was the first hard day of my life. I let a bitter laugh escape my lips when I think back to all those stupid dreams. They are funny things, the dreams of an innocent teen. You never know when you're planning them that you're planning nightmares instead. I wasn't too broken by him leaving. Sure, I was upset, but I knew that he would be back. He would return to me. My parents planned a few trips that summer to keep my mind off missing Axel, at least until I could hear from him again. I was so excited for that day, even knowing it might just be a letter. I couldn't wait to hear about all the changes he was encountering and how he was dealing with them and without me. But that day never came. 2 weeks after I waved goodbye to my love, my parents were killed in a car accident. I was devastated and heartbroken. Looking back now, I can say that was the start of my downward spiral. I didn't deal with their deaths well, especially without Axel there to ground me. My parents had both been only children, and my father's parents had been long gone before I was even born. With no other family left to take over my care, I was shipped off to live with my mom's parents in North Carolina. Even through all my grief, I still held on to the hope that Axel would be back in my arms again, and that he would take all that pain away. I loved my grandparents, don't get me wrong, but they were older and just didn't know how to deal with my pain on top of their own. I had left their address in the care of Axel's foster mother, June. I knew she hated me, but I had hoped that if I couldn't contact him, this would be the next best thing. The fog from my parents' death had finally left me when I found out I was almost 2 months pregnant. It had been almost a month since I'd lost them, and not a day had gone by that I hadn't felt the stabbing grief. But this pregnancy gave me something to focus on, something to look forward to. It was Independence Day when I found out, ironic enough. I remember sitting in the bathroom of my grandparents' house, thinking I had the next best thing to having Axel with me, a piece of him and our love. I was still scared. What 17-year-old wouldn't be? I was basically alone and pregnant. I loved that baby from the second I saw the positive test strip. I just knew that any baby created with our love would be beautiful. With a new lease on life, I started to move on and plan for our new future. I couldn't wait to share the news with him. Every day I wrote to him, sending the letters off to his old foster home. Not knowing where he'd settled, I thought that was the next best thing. It worried me that I hadn't heard from him, but I knew he would find me. He would always find me. I was around 10 weeks pregnant when I got a letter in the mail from June. She told me to stop sending my letters to her house because Axel wasn't coming back, and he had told her to let me know to leave him alone. I was confused and heartbroken. My Axel wouldn't have said that. He loved me. We had a future together. I tried to write him at the base he'd originally arrived at, but my letter was returned, saying that there was no one there by that name. I didn't know what to do. I knew June had told me that he wanted me to leave him alone, but I felt he deserved to at least know about the baby. So with no other options, I tried to contact June again. I wrote her a letter detailing the importance of having Axel contact me. The letter I got in return shocked me to the core. I opened the letter, and immediately the smell of smoke wafted around my head. Unfolding the single piece of paper, I read the words that stopped my world from spinning. 2 words. He's dead. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't. June had to be lying. I tried to write him at the base again, but my letter was returned, saying that they were sorry, but no soldier by that name was listed in active duty. When that letter came back, it was then that I believed June, and I shattered. It was 2 weeks later that I lost our baby. That was the day I lost all touch of reality and sank into a deep depression-filled black hole. I pushed everyone away when I lost that last piece of axe I had left. I turned to alcohol and spent as much of my hours awake as possible drinking anything my underage hands could find. My grandparents were still dealing with the loss of my mom, and either they turned a blind eye to my behavior or they just didn't notice. Either way, I was completely alone again, with no hope of Axel saving me this time. Almost 8 months later, Dee burst into my world and slowly brought me back to life. The rest is, as they say, history. History I didn't think I would have to deal with again. I don't know how much time I spend lying in bed looking off at nothing, remembering those early days. By the time my stomach starts reminding me I need to eat, lunch has long since passed. I pull myself up, mentally dusting myself off, and start off for the shower. I don't want to be weak again, and I'm determined to be strong, to deal with this new fuck you from fate. It is time to dump the old Izzy and start finding the girl I used to be. 15 minutes later, I'm making the trek down to the kitchen, hoping to grab a quick bite to eat alone before I dive into my work. I have a few new clients I need to email back, proposals to be approved, and some sites that need routine maintenance work done. It is all pretty basic, but it will keep my mind busy and off everything else swirling around me. I have been working for a few hours when I hear the garage door open. Damn, I mutter. So much for having a nice, peaceful afternoon. Someone coming in means that I won't be able to completely ignore life around me, which is just smashing. With an overdramatic sigh, I save and close out of the programs I have been working on, shut my laptop, and straighten up all the paperwork I have scattered on the kitchen table. Dee walks in, throwing me a sad smile right as I am pushing everything away. Hey, you. How are you feeling? I was expecting her to at least attempt throwing her chair at me. Guess even she understands how big last night was. Hesitation and this cloud of timid do not suit my friend. Better than last night, or at least I'm getting there. I attempt to smile, but it feels forced. I'm sure it looks even worse because she gives a small flinch before sitting down next to me. I know you don't want to talk about it, and I respect that. Really, I do. We can figure this out later, and you know I won't judge you at all if this is the way you want to play this. But just let me say this, and it'll be the end of it until you're ready, okay? She doesn't wait for me to answer. She knows what I would say if she did. Here, he gave me this last night, and, well, even though I'm not going to push, I think you should have this. She reaches into her jacket pocket and pulls out a small white card, sliding it over in front of my seat. She stands, giving me a small hug and whispers in my ear, I won't push, Iz, but I think you need to do something with that. A small smile later, and she walks out of the room, leaving me scooting back from the small card like it holds the plague. After a nice inner smackdown, I finally reach out and flip the card over. It shouldn't come as a shock. I knew what I would probably find when I did, but nevertheless, I still spit out a rapid burst of air. Holt Reed Corps Security, 770-555-6839. If anyone were watching me, they would think I have completely lost it. Every screw is loose. I am not only off my damn rocker, but I am running far from it. Hysterical laughter bubbles up before I can suppress it. Wiping the tears from my eyes, trying to calm down, I finally focus back on that stupid, stupid card. Holt. He will never be Holt to me. I sit there for I don't know how long, hours, minutes. Hell, it could have been seconds. Just looking at his name in the elegant script, trying to figure out exactly who Holt Axel Reed is today. Is he married? My heart skips a beat at the next thought that filters through my mind. Does he have children? It's a logical question. We aren't those blind by love teenagers anymore. It makes sense that he might have moved on. I did, even if it was a laughable move I made. Why does he even want to talk to me? He obviously decided a long time ago that he was done with me. Fate is being a huge fucking bitch by throwing us back in each other's paths. I stuff the card into the front pocket of my hoodie and pull my work out for the second time today. What can I say? Denial and I are going to become best of buds. Dee comes back a few hours later and asks if I want to order some takeout for dinner. I couldn't really care less, but I tell her sure and to order whatever looks good. I know if I don't at least act normal or as normal as possible, She would start fretting and force me to talk. I am not ready. 4 hours and 2 bottles of wine consumed between the two of us later, I find myself sitting back in my girly room, looking down at that small white card again. Holt Reed. I'm sure the giggle that comes out this time sounds just as wonky as it did earlier, but I just can't help it. How fucked up is this whole thing? Holt. It may be the stupidest decision that I've made in a long time, but I picked my phone up off the nightstand and slid my finger across the unlock screen. I add his stupid new name to my contacts and store his information, opening up a new text screen and thinking, what the hell? Might as well. At least this way, I don't have to look into those brilliant green eyes. Me. So we go by Holt now, huh? Axel Holt. Is he? Me. Ah, bingo. Anyone else out there not know you as Holt? Axel Holt. Plenty, princess. Me. No, I am not your princess. Axel Holt. Okay, so you're going to act like we're still fucking kids? You texted me, Izzy, so you tell me what's going. Me. I am not acting like a child. I just don't understand why you even bothered to ask me to contact you. I think we can both agree the past needs to just stay there, in the past. Axel Holt. No, I don't agree with that. Not at all. Where are you? I'll come to you. We are not doing this over a fucking text. Me. No, I don't think that's a good idea. If you're dead set on dredging this back up, then fine. But we do this on my terms. I need to process this. I can't just sift through all this in less than a day. You want to talk? Fine, but not now. Axel Holt. Process? What the hell's there to process? Where are you, Izzy? Not asking you again, and I'm not fucking doing this text message shit like a goddamn prepubescent little shit. I really should have known better. Sighing, I set my phone down. There really is no point in continuing to argue with him. I did what I wanted to do, and I asked him to let me have my time. If he can't respect that, then fuck him and closure be damned. 10 minutes later, my phone chimes. Then, a minute after that, I hear the reminder beep, followed shortly by another chime. Damn. Axel Holt. We will be talking about this, Izzy. I know you, don't you fucking forget that. I won't let you forget me like you did before. Axel Holt. Understand me this. If you think you can just ignore me and ignore this, then you're up for a big wake-up call. You want fucking time? Fine. 1 week. That is all I'm willing to give. Next Saturday, I don't care if I have to knock on every goddamn door in Georgia. I will find you, and we will be having this talk. Got that? Well, shit. Me. 1 week, Holt. Guess that's going to have to be enough, isn't it? I'll let you know on Friday if I'm ready. Good night. Axel Holt. If you call me Holt one more fucking time, I'm bending you over my knees, yeah? I am not Holt to you, and you damn well fucking know it. With a gasp of surprise at his audacity, I quickly turn my phone off and throw it across the room like it's on fire. I definitely can't deal with that. Chapter 8. The next morning comes way too quickly, but I wake with a new resolve that it will be a good day. I have to deal with Axel, but I won't be doing that today. Sundays are usually the day that Dee and I lounge around the house, catching up on our DVR backlog, and spend some time just the two of us. Since our normal Sunday fun day was interrupted with a new drama in my life, we rescheduled for today. Dee called into work and we started planning our Monday fun day. This time together is important to us, especially with yesterday, so I'm happy to have this time today. We might live together, but we stay pretty busy during the week, or at least she does. My work is a more at-your-own-pace thing, so I often find myself working at odd hours here and there. Working from home has its benefits. Well, one benefit: solitude. I feel better by myself, being alone and not worrying about checking my surroundings every 2 seconds. I feel safer. I might have come a long way since Brandon, but a lot of that has to do with my not leaving the house much, and when I do, I never leave alone. I stopped looking over my shoulders and fearing the shadows. I stopped living a life destined for death. I feel like I'm healing. My first step to my healing was starting this new life. It took a while, but I am finally happy. Happy-ish. My business is growing and my friends are great, both of my friends. I don't need a million friends to feel like I have accomplished something with my life. I am perfectly content with Dee and Greg. I don't trust easily, or at all, so this is progress, and it works for me. The first year and a half after Brandon was spent in therapy and getting our life set up, buying the townhome, helping Dee get her new business up and running, and finally starting my own. There really hasn't been much time for me to just be me. It was a healthy, or maybe a not-so-healthy, distraction phase. It took me a while to decide that I was okay enough to start living again, and I won't let Axel change that. So it is time to do what Izzy West does best: distract. Dee and I spend all day Monday lying around the house and watching old 80s movies. We turn all the phones off, close the blinds, and just enjoy spending the day together without the world stomping all over us. If Greg tried to call, we didn't know. That is just fine with me. I am not ready to deal with his intrusive questions right now. Tuesday is spent catching up on my work and fielding calls from Greg. I fake work issues, and I am able to put him off. I know this won't work, but once again, I am not ready for him. I don't completely lie to him. I do have plenty of work I need to get a good head start on. Word is spreading quickly, and I have finally picked up some rather large businesses out of Atlanta. Dee has gone longer than normal on Tuesday. I know she's in the middle of some issues with her branch back in North Carolina, so by the time she gets home, she is too tired to push much from me. Again, that works perfectly for me. Wednesday is spent running errands around town, cleaning out my closet, and organizing the pantry. I even scrub all 3 toilets in the house. By the time Thursday rolls around, I am running out of excuses to beg off Greg and things to keep me distracted. Worse yet, Saturday is looming even closer and closer. Greg seems to be busy enough trying to get the new and improved core security up and running. For once, the timing is working out in my benefit. He calls twice, but when I send them both to voicemail, he must have given up. I should be worried about him going silent on me, but I am too busy trying to keep my panic about Saturday down. Friday is spent hand-mopping the floors and dusting every surface in the whole damn townhome. Dee is working from home today, and I'm sure she's starting to think I've lost it. I'm just sitting down in front of our massive DVD collection to re-alphabetize it again when I hear my phone start ringing. I jump up and run off to my room to see if I can ignore Greg's call again. When I pick up my phone and see Axel Holt calling, I scream and drop it. I run back into the living room and pick my stupid mind-numbing task back up. I hear my phone ring 3 more times before I'm done. Deciding I need to bring out the big guns in my mission to distract, I set off to find Dee. This is going to be easy enough, even if it is painful for me. All it will take is one mention of her finally getting that makeover she's been after, and I've been dreading, for her to forget everything else and focus only on shopping. It might be a dirty trick, but it is the only one I have at the moment. I'll have to spend a day with Dee, allowing her to take over and drag me all over the state shopping, but it will work. Not only will I successfully not be thinking about anything besides how much money she is costing me, but I will be away from the house and Axel won't be able to find me. I hate shopping, but if this works, the payoff might be worth it. Me and Dee against the world. She might not know it, but she is about to become my hero. My ears have finally stopped ringing from Dee's insane screeching when I announced I am finally ready to shed my ratty-ass jeans and tees and let her work her magic. Just as I thought, she immediately went into crazy mode and forgot about the world around her. Sometimes I love how easy it is to basically bribe her. It's Saturday morning, and we have been at the mall for a few hours when my phone rings. Looking at the display, I can't help but smile when I see Greg calling across the screen. I have successfully kept him away all week, and now that I am away from the house and out of Axel's reach, I am finally going to pick this call up. "Hey, you," I smile into the phone.
"Baby girl, you speaking to me today?" His deep baritone rumbles through the line.
"Depends on you. What do you want to speak about?"
"All right, I guess that's a no. What are you doing? I drove by the house, but no one was there."
"Shopping." My voice must be dripping with sarcasm. Dee and I are over at Lenox Mall. I've decided it's time for a new wardrobe. Going all out. You should meet us over here, carry all the bags or something productive like that. It will be just so much fun. Yup, sarcasm is hanging thick in the air. Dee is completely oblivious to my conversation. Either that or she is just so in her element that she decides to ignore it.
"Carry your bags, huh? You must be out of your damn mind if you think I will be joining you in that estrogen field trip. I like my balls right where they are.
He laughs back at me, finally losing that hard tone he seems to have adopted with me. I don't like being at the receiving end of his anger. Pussy, I joke. Big old pussy is afraid to come and walk around the mall with your best friends. I think you might have already lost those balls you're so fond of, G. I throw my head back and let out a loud laugh, earning a few nasty looks from the rich bitches out shopping for shit they do not need. Kind of like me, minus the rich part. I can hear him trying not to laugh. This right here is the Greg I love so much, this banter between us. Come on, all joking aside, I think we will be stopping for lunch soon, or at least I hope my master will let me eat. I look over at Dee, who has been vibrating with excitement since we started this grand makeover today, to confirm a plan for food at least somewhere in the near future. She isn't looking anywhere near me. Instead, she is focusing on another store. I might as well just hand her my credit card and tell her to meet me back home. I haven't had a single input on a single purchase since we started, and if the 7 bags hanging from my arms aren't enough, I might just run. What the hell was I thinking? Oh, that's right. A distraction. Being away from the house and away from Axel, who's already called 3 times since the day began. Clearing my throat, I speak into the phone again. Even if Dee doesn't agree, we will be eating soon. So, what have you? Want to meet us over here or what?
Sure is. If that is how we are going to play today, I'll meet you there. I'll call you when I get there and find out how to track you down.
Perfect. Just give me a ring and you can save me. I look over at Dee to make sure she at least has some understanding of this new plan. She looks disappointed that we have to stop, but Christ, woman, I can only shop for so long without food.
See you then, baby girl.
He disconnects and I pocket my phone, turning with a bright smile to Dee. She has the most ridiculous pout on her face. Stop that right now, Dee. I have been a good little girl and followed you around like a little bitch while you racked up thousands of dollars of shit on my card. I don't think feeding me is too much to ask, huh? I try for stern but end up laughing in her face when she has the nerve to wobble her chin like she might cry. Okay, but if we have to stop soon, we're going to Neiman's first. Shoes is. I can hear them calling our names from here. Freaking weirdo. Almost an hour later, I am finally able to drag Dee away. Greg has been calling for the last 15 minutes, asking why the hell we haven't popped out of this stupid fucking girly store yet. I can just picture him pacing the entrance to Neiman's now. He would die before he stepped one badass foot in here. We walk out with 6 more bags. 6 fucking bags. I swear I will end up selling a kidney to pay off my next credit card statement. Greg is, as predicted, pacing in a tight line. When he finally spots us, he stops and crosses his arms over his bulky chest, throwing that scowl back in place. It wouldn't kill him to at least look happy to be here, but even grumpy, I'm glad he's here. Holy shit! Now that is definitely worth stopping our shopping for! I'm a little taken aback by Dee's husky whisper. I was so focused on uncomfortable Greg that I hadn't noticed the good-looking man next to him. Joe? No, that's not right. I vaguely remember him from the club the last week. A friend of Greg's, his boy, which means he is a friend of Axel's too. Lovely. I really hope this isn't some ploy from Greg to get me to open up. I don't know how much these other men know about my past with Axel, but I won't be opening up to him today. Sauntering up to the men, Dee and I both take turns giving Greg warm hugs. He might annoy the shit out of me at times, but he means well. Right now, though, it's hard to remember that he is coming from a good place with his caring and protectiveness. I start thrusting bags into his arms, not even giving him a chance to reject them, looking over at Dee to see her practically drooling over the man standing next to Greg. She doesn't even seem to notice her fingers turning blue from her heavy burdens. I look over at Greg with a twitch of my head at Dee and a smirk. He laughs but still looks pissed that I'm making him carry my bags. Dee, quit, I whisper quietly at her. She shakes her head and looks over at me with rosy cheeks and lust-filled eyes. Okay, looks like Dee won't be pissed about stopping this trip anymore. Greg finally has all my bags in order, huffing his attitude.
You two remember Beck?
He jerks his head over at his friend Beck. That's right, John Beckett. I mumble a hello, but notice that he isn't focusing on me. He and Dee are practically past foreplay and moving into some serious hot sex with their eyes. Interesting development here. Dee has her fun, but I can't remember the last time she took interest in a man like this. She's focused on her career, and for the last few years her focus has been me. I feel guilty about possibly having kept her from finding love, but she insists that she wouldn't have it any other way. I look back at Greg to see if he has noticed the sparks flying between Dee and Beck, and notice his shock matching my own. I clear my throat, hoping to stop this eye fuck before they both have some weird orgasm in the middle of the mall. So... Greg laughs and they both jerk like they got caught stealing. "You two want to stop this shopping shit and head over to Heavy's or some barbecue?" he suggests, knowing that Heavy's is my favorite place in town. Dirty trick. Looks like he's bringing out the big dogs today. Beck, did you know that sex is biochemically no different than eating large quantities of chocolate? I can't help but laugh at that one. Or maybe it's his face alone that's hilarious. Dee and I have spent the last hour sitting here spouting off useless sex facts. It's hilarious to watch these two big men squirm. Greg is used to this, but Beck seems to be having an issue with our topic of choice, probably because he is still back at the mall having creepy eye sex with my best friend. "It's true, you know," she pipes up. "I can get just enough pleasure from a bag of kisses than I can from any man." I look over at Dee and laugh so hard I have to hold my sides. "You are not wrong, my friend. Kisses are so much more pleasurable than any of my battery-operated boyfriends. Just as satisfying, but no work necessary. I think we are on our make that our fourth pitcher of beer now, and my laughs are coming so frequently that I'm worried I might piss on myself at any moment." You're nuts. Anything is better than a fucking dildo. I'm talking real men here. But throw me some chocolate and I'm golden. My laughter's coming even louder now when I see the shock of what she just said register in her face.
"Sugar?"
Beck interrupts my ruckus with a wink.
"If chocolate is more fulfilling than sex, then someone isn't doing their job right."
He smiles back over at me, but quickly turns his eyes back on Dee, a Dee who I noticed has gone silent again. I'm sitting between Greg and Dee at the round high top we claimed when we arrived at Heavy's. Greg keeps pushing more food in front of me. He must think he can somehow slow down my drunk by keeping me full of shit. Whatever. I don't know what our reason is, but that's just it for me. It's better because the someone doesn't exist anymore. I get my kicks where I can. I punctuate my seriousness with a stab towards them with the fry I'm munching on. I've got chocolate and chocolate-induced satisfaction. I love chocolate. Might get messy sometimes, but there is no drama. Dee is nodding her head enthusiastically now. It's true, and you should see our chocolate stash. We're good for at least a solid year of orgasms. Who needs a boy when you have Hershey's? Greg smiles over at us, laughing right along with Beck now.
"You two are fucking nuts, you know that?"
I open my mouth to respond when Dee yells, "Hey, is it true that you guys think about sex 7 times a day?" She's looking directly at Beck. I might laugh if I didn't decide there was a serious need in this knowledge. I stopped long enough to ponder that one. I've never really given that much thought. Case in point, I am not having sex. Therefore, why do I need to think about it? Yeah, is it something like because you have a giant dick bobbing around down there, you are constantly reminded to think about using it? Like you have some sex beacon? I am completely serious right now. Beck and Greg look at each other and then back at us. Then they throw their heads back and laugh so deep and so loud they draw the attention of almost the whole place. I don't think they understand how serious I am right now. This isn't funny, I pout. Greg stops laughing and starts to answer with humor twinkling in his eyes, but his phone interrupts him. Glancing down at the display with a small frown, he excuses himself from the table. Okay, whatever. I look over at Beck and throw my question back at him. So, do you think about sex that much?
"Sugar?" he starts before turning his attention back over to Dee. "I've thought about sex. Hard fucking dirty sex about 100 times since we sat down to eat." Looking back over at me, he says, "Does that clear it up for you?" Oh my. Oh, well, okay. I think we need more beer. I grab the empty pitcher and take off to find the waitress for more. I glance back at the table on my way to the bar and notice that Dee is still locking eyes with Beck, a look of complete rapture on her face. I take my time returning, giving those two dirty perverts a second to do whatever it is they seem to be doing before I make my way back over. So what's next on the schedule for today, or I guess tonight now? I ask, trying my hardest not to snicker at my two table mates. If this gets any more heated, I might feel like I was an unwilling threesome participant. Dee clears her throat and looks over at me, lust still clouding her brown eyes. I know. Let's go get some tattoos. You keep talking about how much you want one. I don't think that's such a good idea, Dee. I think they frown on people being a mile over the legal drinking limit. Dee and I are debating on the benefits of getting tattoos when you're far from sober when Greg returns. The laughter and lightness that had taken over his face is gone, and his scowl is back. Looks like grumpy Greg is back. Gee, Dee wants to go get some ink. Personally, I think it might not be the best idea. You know, numerous pitches of beer and all. What do you think? He seems shocked by my question. Maybe he was expecting me to push him on his mood. Or it could be the fact that I have suddenly decided branding myself as something permanent might be a good idea. I don't think that's a good idea, baby girl. Not something you do when you aren't thinking straight. And damn sure not something you do when your head isn't in the right place. He's looking right at me when he says that. There is no denying that he is only speaking to me. No joking to be found in his tone now. Seriousness is painted heavily all over that reply. No fucking way. I knew he wouldn't be able to leave it be for long, and that comment just pisses me the hell off. My head is fine just where it is, and I do not want him psychoanalyzing me. I look over at Dee, who seems to be just as shocked at his answer as I am, which just further pisses me off. Damn infuriating man. Dee, where's that place you told me about the other day? You know, the one your assistant was telling you about? She looks at me, trying to judge if I'm serious or not, and I practically bug my eyes out of their sockets to communicate that I am very fucking serious. Right, you mean Smudge, the new parlor over on Grove. She said the big guy who does her work is the best, but I couldn't tell you his name. Perfect, just perfect. Finish up, people. Places to go. I clap my hands together and look at Greg with all the seriousness I have in me. He will not stop me, no way in hell. He would have to lock me up now. Head not in the right place, fucking asshole. He's pissed, I know he is. I down another 2 beers, locking eyes with Dee. She has a look about her that says she's down for whatever, but clearly confused by my agreement to visit Smudge. She brought it up, so she better be ready. Greg leans over and says something to Beck before getting up and marching out the door again. I watch him throw the door open and storm out, and then look over at Beck. What the hell is his problem now?
Don't know, sugar. He just said he needed to do something and he would meet us there.
Okay, I might have overreacted slightly. But you know what? I am sick of being treated with kid gloves like some breakable porcelain doll that might shatter with the smallest touch. My path to find the old Izzy starts right now, and I'm not going to let Greg and his shit-fit mess this up. You two almost ready to go? I'm going to go track down our tickets so we can get out of here. Think about what you want to get, you little bitch. Remember, this was your idea. I stand up and walk off, once again leaving them at the table, but I doubt they are drenched in their lust cloud anymore. Beck is probably trying to figure out what brand of fucked up he has stumbled on, and Dee is probably back to worrying. At least this time she isn't worried about my mental stability, or at least I hope she isn't. She is probably worried about this big-ass boulder that seems to have popped up between Greg and me. Chapter 9. Dee is pretty silent when we first get in the cab after leaving Heavy's. She is probably still playing back my refusal to ride with the boys. We left her car at Heavy's and jumped in the first cab I saw, leaving a fuming Greg and a confused Beck standing at his truck. Greg was waiting outside of Heavy's when we walked out. So much for his having something to take care of. I knew that if we let Greg drive, he would control the destination, and I was seeing this through. For the first 5 minutes, she sits silently gazing out her window. Soft country music plays through the speakers. Not loud, but enough that the silence isn't awkward. She finally has enough and turns to me. All right, tell me what this really is about is. This is more than a few drinks and sex jokes. What's really going on up there? She reaches over and taps my head. Nothing is going on up there, Dee. I'm sick of everyone looking at me like I am some unfixable toy. Some toy that no matter how many times you slather Elmer's on, keeps falling apart. I'm sick of being that girl, Dee. Greg just pushed my buttons when he said I wasn't right in the head. I'm fine. Just because I don't want to talk about Axel, that does not mean I'm not right in the head. It doesn't. Who exactly are you trying to convince, Izzy? She asks softly. I don't need to convince anyone. I just need you to have my back and trust me to handle this on my own terms. I let out a frustrated huff and turned my head to watch the city zoom past. I'm so tired from this week of dodging Greg and running from Axel. I just want it to be over. This bad dream that I am beyond ready to wake up from.
Okay, Iz, I understand, or at least I'm trying to. I just don't like seeing you hurting, and I don't like seeing you and Greg fight. You know he's got to be hurting too. He would do anything to take your pain away, you know that. Don't think he is being pushy to be a dick. He really does care.
I don't reply. What's the point? I don't know what to think about Greg. I know he cares, but now that his loyalty is torn, I can honestly say that I don't know which way he is going with his need to chat with me. He wants me happy, I know that much, but at what cost? We pull up in front of Smudge a few minutes later. The cabbie lets us out right at the front door. I quickly pay him and rush for the door. When I see Greg's truck roaring up the street, I take off for the inside of the building. He won't cause a scene, not in a public place like this. He might look at me with his displeasure and judgment, but he won't say anything. No, I will get that later. We walk into the brightly lit building. The walls are painted a deep red. The ceiling and the tile are black. They have the room set up with little cubicles against the side walls, each one with a wall about 4 feet tall. There are some rooms against the back wall, but all 3 have blacked-out windows. Not sure I want to know what happens back there. I walk over to the huge U-shaped display case set up in the middle of the room. There is a young, heavily tattooed woman standing behind it. Her short pixie hair is sticking out in random directions and dyed electric blue. Her face is classically beautiful and would look odd against her body art and hair of choice, but she has the most elaborate makeup on. Her eyeshadow is as bright and as blue as her hair. Thick black lines outline her almost violet eyes, and her lips are painted red.
What's up, ladies? I'm Trix. Welcome to Smudge. We've got a few clients ahead of you, but I think we can fit you in. Which one of you plans on getting some ink tonight?
She asks with a cheerful smile. Dee looks over at me, clearly starting to second-guess opening her big mouth back at Heavy's, but no way am I letting her off the hook.
Both of us.
I shoot over at Trix, giving her a smirk of my own. I hear the bell over the door clank. I don't need to turn around to know who just came in the door. Even if I didn't know it was Greg, the look Trix is shooting over my shoulder says it all. Greg might be like a brother to me, but even I can admit how hot he is. Next to Beck, I'm sure the boys are quite an eyeful. Right, so where do we need to wait? She can lust after them when she gets this show on the road. She looks back at me, a slight blush spotting her white cheeks.
Sorry. Okay, I just need a copy of your license and for you both to fill out these forms. Have a seat over on those couches and have a look at the photo books on the table if you need to get an idea of what you want. I'll go see who's almost finished and can pick y'all up next.
She turns to look over at Greg and Beck one more time before walking down the rows of cubicles. I have just enough time to register her hot pink tutu as she disappears into one of the back rooms. Maybe next time I need to ask her to take me shopping. Tutus look pretty freaking awesome. I grab Dee's arm and pull her over to the couch, thrusting the clipboard with the forms on them in her arms. Fill them out and then look, I say, pointing over to the binders. I make quick work of filling out the sheets, pull my license out of my wallet, and walk back over to Trix. Handing everything over for her to do her thing with, I walk back over and sit down next to Dee. She is slow enough with her papers that I know she's trying to find a way to back out. No fucking way. This was your idea, remember? She looks over at me. There might be some fear in her eyes, but she's mostly curious about just how far I plan on taking this.
I know, don't worry, I'm not backing out. Just promise me we can talk about this soon.
God, I love her. Sure, Dee, sometime. I reach over and pluck one of the books off the table, opening the cover and taking in a very up-close and personal dick with a metal barbell attached to the head. Okay, clearly, they don't just tattoo here. I turn a few more pages and come to some female piercings. Now those don't look quite as traumatizing as the decorated dicks. They almost make this chick's tits look beautiful. I must have been looking at them for a while. I can't imagine how weird this looks, my zoning on someone else's tits. Dee looks over and gives a soft snort.
Seriously, Iz? Nip rings?
Maybe, I mumble, going over in my head the pros of a piercing over a tattoo. I'll admit that when I had my fit over Greg's words, I didn't completely think this through. Sure, I have wanted a tattoo for a while, but it should be something I think and plan, not something I decide in anger. A piercing, though? Well, I can take that out whenever I get sick of them. Permanence isn't even an issue there. It's just something pretty to look at for a while.
Dee is flicking through one of the tattoo books. She is not really looking at anything, just flipping and stealing looks over at Beck. Greg is rod straight and clearly very pissed, his eyes burning holes right into me. I stand and walk back over to Trix, leaning over the display case to whisper my request in her ear. When I stand back, she has a huge grin on her face. She gives me a small nod and walks back to one of the black window rooms.
Izzy,
Greg starts.
What the fuck are you doing?
I turn and give him a smart smile, not even bothering to hide my simmering, pissed vibes. Why, nothing, Gregory. I'm just enjoying my head being all fucked up. I walk back over to Dee, who is looking at me, and even with her worried eyes, she is trying hard not to laugh. We are clearly a dysfunctional family. You pick anything yet? I ask her. Yeah, nothing big, but I got it. Perfect. But if this isn't something you want, don't feel like you have to do this just because I'm set on proving a point to the big idiot. She has her happy smile back on her face. She might not have meant to actually show up here, but I can tell she doesn't mind now. It's all good, Iz. I wouldn't be here if I didn't want to be. You seriously going to get some rings hanging off your tits? She snickers. I might be pissed, but I'm not stupid. I need time to figure out the perfect tat, and some stupid fight with Greg isn't going to make me jump the gun. Plus, I think my tits will look fucking hot with some bling. We are both laughing hard when a good-looking guy walks up and asks which one of us is Izzy. For some reason, I expected the person doing my piercings to be a female. Don't I specifically drive a town over because I don't want to see a male gynecologist? Now the person who will be shoving a needle through my fun bags is going to be this hunk? Shit. Didn't see that coming. Izzy would be me, I say, standing up and holding out my hand. I can see Greg out of the corner of my eye. If anything, he looks like he is going to explode soon. He looks carved from stone, and I know he is just gearing up to shut this down. I bring my focus back to the man in front of me.
Tyler, nice to meet you. Ready?
Sure thing, Tyler. We set off for the black window rooms. I can hear Greg speaking harshly behind me. I don't turn around to see who he is talking to. He isn't stopping this. We walk into the room, and I'm shocked to see how bright it is in here. Something about the windows had me expecting some gloom and doom back here. The walls, ceiling, and floor match the decor outside the door. There is a single dentist-looking chair in the middle of the room, and a long table against the back wall. He's already set up the things he will need on the little tray next to the chair.
First piercings?
Tyler asks while motioning me to jump up on the chair. Yep, other than my ears.
Ah, perfect. I love poppin' cherries.
He smiles over at me. He really is very nice to look at. This might be more fun than I thought it would be. He has light brown hair, which is a little on the long side and curling under his ears, and behind the back of the cap he is wearing. His eyes are light blue and bright with mischief. He must be assuming that this is some kind of kink I have. His face is model perfect. If it weren't for the huge gauges through his ears, a lip ring, 2 eyebrow rings, and the colorful art running up both arms, I might think he was in the wrong place. Huh, I'm sure you do. So what do you need me to do?
Strip down, sweetheart. Shirt, bra, and you take the pants off too if that's what works for you. Get comfortable and recline on back. I need to mark you first to make sure I get these bars in perfectly. I wouldn't want to mess up those perfect tits.
Choosing to ignore his blatant flirting, I reach down for the hem of my tee and pull it over my head. I flick my bra off, throwing them both on the chair in the corner. Putting my back flat on the chair, I reach up and pull my thick hair into a messy knot on the top of my head. All the while, I'm watching the lustful look take over his face. Tyler reaches over and helps me to lean forward so he can mark my nipples. His gloved hands are cold at first, but he makes quick work with the marker. He gives me a good squeeze before releasing the swells of my breast. I'm sure that was more for his benefit than the alignment of my holes. At this point, I don't even care. It's been a long time since anyone other than myself has touched my tits, so even though it's awkward, his touch isn't exactly a turn-off.
You ready?
He asks. I can feel the soft bite of the needle against my left nipple. It isn't an unpleasant pain, bordering the line between pain and pleasure for sure. Surely it isn't natural to be this turned on right now. Yep, do your thing. I close my eyes tight and wait for it. He gives me a sharp pinch before I feel him push the needle through. I let out the breath I was holding. Not bad. The pain is already receding, and a weird burning numbness is taking over.
If this is what every body piercing feels like, I can understand why Tyler here has so many now. Not bad, huh? He asks while walking around the chair to the other side. He seems to have lost his playful flirting and turned into the perfect professional. He looks up and gives me a small wink. Okay, so maybe not all the flirting has left his system. No, I laugh. Definitely not bad. All right, ready for the next? Go for it. I close my eyes tight again, and the process is repeated. But right when I feel him finishing up the tightening of the ball at the end of my new piercing, there's a loud thump at the door, and suddenly it's jerked wide open. He jumps to stand in front of me, trying to protect my modesty. From my spot hidden behind Tyler the piercer, I can see one very long jean-covered leg and a big booted foot. I don't know those boots. The only other thing I can see past Tyler is one giant fist flexing and pulsing by the leg's side. Then I hear the softly spoken command. The command laced with so much fury only a fool would ignore it. I squeeze my eyes shut again, praying that I'm wrong about who is standing in front of Tyler. Move the fuck out of my way right fucking now. Shit. Tyler looks over his shoulder at me, trying to figure out if I know who this is or if he needs to have him removed. Laughable, really. There is no way he would be able to move this man. It might take every person in this whole building to remove this pissed-off brute. He reaches off behind his back and pulls out a towel he had hanging off the back of his belt. It might not be the cleanest thing in the world right now, but at least it would hide my body. Or some of my body. Thanks, I softly say to Tyler. It's okay. I'll be right out to pay. Okay, you sure? He asks, and at my nod, he quickly gives me a rundown on aftercare and tells me he will leave a sheet with the instructions with tricks up front. I look down and make sure the towel is covering me enough before I look up and meet the blazing green, very pissed depths of Axel's eyes. This isn't going to be fun. Not only am I sitting in front of him naked from the waist up, but seeing his face again is still a punch straight to the gut. It physically hurts to breathe. He looks so different than the boyish face I remember in my dreams. He is still Axel, but he looks harder. Age has done wonderful things to this man. He was always tall, but never this tall. When he left at 18, he had a boy's body, but there is nothing boy about him now. He looks to have doubled in size, and his muscles were pulsing on his arms, flexing with pent-up energy, angry energy. His black tee is stretched tight, not only hugging his heavily tattooed arms, but his flat stomach as well. I can even see the rippling of his abs through the material. His legs are long and thick, covered in denim. I can feel the vibes coming from him, and they aren't happy ones. I have a feeling he isn't just unhappy about me blowing him off today. He did say every door when he threatened to track me down. How the hell did he know where to find me? He takes a menacing step forward and closes the door behind him, shutting us in the room and standing between my clothes and me. What did I fucking say, Izzy? I would find you. You aren't fucking hiding from this talk, you hear me? Now want to fucking tell me what the hell you're doing with your fucking shirt off back here? No need to look at his face to judge his mood. He's well past pissed. Can you please pass me my clothes? That's what I go with. Seems like the safest bet at this point. Maybe I can avoid him long enough to escape. Please, Axel? He bends, snatching my bra and tee off the chair behind him, not even bothering to look away. Fine. It isn't like he hasn't seen them before. He just hasn't ever seen them like this. Suddenly my act of rebellion isn't looking so hot. I pick up my bra and let the towel drop. His sharp intake has me snapping my eyes up to meet his. His eyes are focused directly on my chest and their new jewelry. I can see his chest moving rapidly. His nose is flaring, and his hands are back to flexing in and out of tight fists. What the fuck? You let some stranger put his hands on your fucking tits? He doesn't even mention the barbells. How can he miss them? They are standing out in all their silver glory against my pink nipples. Not your business, Axel. It hasn't been your business in a long damn time. My voice sounds funny. My earlier confidence is gone, and I sound almost dead. The fight has left me, and I know it's futile to even try to run from him. Like it or not, this talk is about to happen. I just have to figure out what and how much to tell him, and just how I will get through it. Not my fucking business. We'll see about that, Izzy. Get your fucking clothes on before someone else sees you. I make quick work of redressing, careful with my sensitive and sore nipples. When I am completely covered and standing in front of him, I look up and just take him in. I can't believe he is really right in front of me, very much alive and pissed off. I can't tell what's working behind his eyes. The anger is dominating him right now, but it almost looks like relief. He reaches out. I don't even know what his goal is, but I immediately shrink back, closing my eyes tight and turning my head away from his hand. What the fuck is this shit, Izzy? I don't answer him. I can't. I'm still turned to the side, waiting on impact. Turn around! Now! He roars. He curses under his breath when I flinch even further, turning completely away from him. At this point, I can't help the tears that silently run down my cheeks. I know deep down that Axel wouldn't harm me, but this has been my reality for so long that the instinct to protect myself is just too strong. Izzy, please, princess. Turn around, he says after a long pause. I can still feel his anger, but his tone is soft and reassuring. I slowly turn, bracing myself for any reaction, but I am completely shocked by the pain in his eyes. Let's go. We're talking, and we're talking now. Izzy, hear me this right fucking now. You do not fear me. Ever. Even as mad as you have me, I wouldn't ever put my hands on you. Do you hear me? I would never harm a single fucking hair on your head, princess. I flinch, but it has nothing to do with fearing him. Hearing him call me princess again is almost as painful as seeing him before me. I never thought I would hear that word coming from those lips again. I nod once, giving him that before following him out the door. I trail behind him, eyes to the floor, walking past the cubicles and around the display case. I look up and meet Trix's eyes. Surprisingly, she isn't enamored by Axel, but she looks at me with uncensored concern. I give her a small, very wobbly smile and ask her how much. Already paid. Here are the instructions from Ty. I wrote the shop number on there in case you have any questions. She looks at me and I can see her communicating something. I just can't figure it out right now. My mind is focused on one thing and one thing only. I thank her and then look around the front for Dee. I find her silently crying next to Beck, who has his arm thrown tightly around her shoulders, hugging her close. I can't even fake a smile for her. She knows me too well, so it would be completely pointless. I walk out the front door and stand there, waiting for the rest of this fucked-up entourage to join me on the sidewalk. Axel is out first. He takes his post behind me, boxing me in and making any thought of running impossible. Dee comes up and gives me an awkward hug. "It will be okay, Iz," she whispers into my ear before pulling away and standing back with Beck. He gives me a sympathetic smile but doesn't say anything, and really, what can be said? Then I meet the blue eyes of Greg. Games, baby girl. I won't sit back and watch you self-destruct with these fucked-up games. You can be mad, and I get that you will be, but you will not play these fucked-up games. I'll call you tomorrow. Maybe by then you'll understand why this was the only move you left me. I love you, baby girl, but that shit stops now. My eyes widen in shock. I hear Dee gasp behind him, and I feel Axel's deep rumble behind my back. I can imagine that Dee is just as shocked as I am that Greg just admitted to letting Axel know where I was. I have no clue what the hell Axel's deal is. I am crushed. How could he do this to me? The tears start streaming down again, even heavier than before. I can see Greg, and he looks visibly shaken up by my tears. Everything I had been building up, the fight, the drive to be strong, is gone in an instant. I am completely flattened with his betrayal. I let out a mighty breath before addressing Greg. Do not even bother, Greg. Don't. As far as I'm concerned, you can lose my number. I'm dead to you, you hear me? I do not exist to you. I look right into his eyes with tears flowing quickly. I don't even bother to mask the pure pain. He looks stunned at first, and then a look that I'm sure comes close to the pain across my face takes hold of his features. I don't even give it a second thought. I turn and look up to Axel's blazing eyes. I didn't drive, took a cab here. So if you want to talk, you either do it here or you meet me somewhere. I don't even recognize my voice. It's flat and expressionless. His eyes flare and he slowly brings his hand forward, grabbing my hand. I don't flinch at his touch, but the bolt shooting up my arm from this exchange has me widening my eyes at him. If his quick intake of air is any indication, he feels it too. Not leaving my fucking sight. Understand that right now. Say goodbye to your friends. We're going to have this chat, and we're doing it right now before you decide to run. Again. There's no room for arguing. He means it, and I don't even care. Greg's deception is hard enough to take in, but knowing I am about to rip open old wounds better left alone is gutting me. I have no idea how I'm going to make it through this. Chapter 10. I give Dee another look. She seems to understand and gives me a small nod. I completely ignore Greg, turn, and prepare to follow Axel to parts unknown. I know what is coming, and I might not be ready, but something is telling me that I have no choice. Axel wants answers. He warned me, and I knew he would be determined. He might think he can bully himself back into my life like he hasn't just been gone for the last 12 years. But he has another thing coming if he thinks I'm just going to roll over and play dead. My fight might be gone, but I am far from out. We start walking down the sidewalk. He's leading and I'm following silently behind him. When we reach his mammoth truck, I stop and look at it. How the hell am I supposed to get in that thing? I'm eye level with a footboard thing. Isn't the purpose of that thing to help people get into vehicles? Typical man, making these damn things impossible. Axel standing next to me holding the door, waiting for me to climb in. I look from him to the truck a few times. He can't be for real right now. Get in, now. I don't have the patience for your shit. His voice still sounds lethal. I have no idea what would have made him so mad. He has me, and it technically is still Saturday, even if there are only a few hours left. So I didn't exactly do anything wrong. The deadline is up and I'm here, right? Hate to point out the obvious, Holt. I can't seem to help myself from sneering his name, his new name. But how exactly do you expect me to get in now as you have so kindly demanded? His eyes flash and fill even more with blinding rage. His face takes on an even harsher, hard, stone-cold look. What the fuck did I tell you about calling me Holt? He throws at me. His face is almost nose to nose with mine. His rapid breaths are hitting my own mouth in warm bursts. I can taste him on my tongue, and I gasp in shock. My eyes go wide at his close proximity. Even in my current mood, I can't help but remember all the times I looked into these eyes before, all the times I didn't hold anger, but untainted love. One more time, and I swear to God, get in the fucking truck, he bites out, pushing each word towards me with great force. You idiot! What do you think I am doing? Standing here for shits and fucking giggles? No, definitely not. I can't get in your stupid truck. If you would take a second to actually look, you would see this. Your little Napoleon complex is cute. Really, it is, but it is also keeping me from getting in the fucking truck. I scream the last part in his face so loud that even my ears are ringing. I instantly slam my hand over my mouth, regretting my outburst and fearing his reaction. He shocks me when, instead of lashing out, he starts to shake with silent laughter. Napoleon complex? Do I really need to remind you just how untrue that statement is, Izzy? Take a look at me. My height isn't the only thing that fucking grew since you ran off. After he throws that unexpected remark out, I am once again stunned. Ran off? I would have thought he was talking about this past week if it hadn't been for the offhand comment about him changing. What is he talking about? I didn't run off, he did. As my confusion grows, I am even more convinced that I do not want to have this conversation with him. Finally, having lost his last thread of control, he grabs my hips and lifts unceremoniously, dumping me into the seat. He harshly mutters for me to buckle my fucking belt before he slams the door and disappears around the hood. My jaw is still hanging when he opens his door and slings his giant frame into the seat, turning the key and bringing this beast to a roaring start. He slams it into gear and shoots away from his spot. Coming out of my stunned silence, I look over at his harsh face. Where are you taking me?
My house is the other way, I meekly ask.
I know where your house is. I also know that you have been there all week, even while ignoring me. I'm not taking you there, where you can have the protection of your little pit bull roommate. We're talking, and we will be doing it with no fucking interruptions, and no one to help you cower behind a locked door. Hear me that right fucking now.
I don't think that's a good idea. Maybe we can just go to the Starbucks around the corner. Maybe if I had a little more conviction, he would have taken me seriously. The last place I want to be is in his space, alone with him.
Forget that right now. What I have to say to you will not be said around others. Get ready, princess, because I am done playing games. I don't care if it takes an eternity. You will fucking talk.
I snap my mouth shut and turn to watch the city fly past him, trying frantically to think of a way out of this, a way to escape. I'm not ready, and I am even more convinced that I might not ever be.
My heart feels like it might burst from my chest at any second, just blow up, right out of my body. The pounding of my heart, even booming in my ears as loudly as it is doing nothing to disguise the soft sniffling coming from the other side of my truck. As much as I wish I could keep my heart hardened from her, the sound of her crying is tearing me up. I shouldn't have any compassion left for her. It should have died a long time ago. I know from my reaction to seeing her again last Saturday that this chat won't be easy. There are still feelings I thought were long gone and lost forever, trapped in that box with my heart. This girl ripped my heart to fucking shreds, and I never knew why. It would have been quicker if she had stuck around and shot me in the fucking chest. At least I would have died instantly instead of bleeding out slowly for the last 12 years. Jesus, I can't get the image of her slender body holding that small excuse for a towel against her chest out of my head. When she let it drop from her tight hold, I thought I was going to swallow my tongue. Her tits had always been fucking perfect, but to see them like that, with her nipples erect and sporting 2 hot barbells, I might have shot off in my pants. As much as I wanted to drop to my knees and suck her pert pink nipples into my mouth, I couldn't help my first thought. That motherfucker had his hands on her. He'd held her tits in his hands. There was no reasoning with my brain that she wasn't mine. I saw red. Those are my fucking tits, and she is my fucking girl. It doesn't matter to my mind that it has been well over a decade since I have been able to enjoy them. Someone else touched what was mine. If I hadn't thought she would take off and run again, I would have killed that little shit. All week I have thought about her. She has been a constant stress that I don't need when I'm trying to get everything in my life in order. Greg and I have been busy enough with all the legal paperwork and issues that keep popping up with the new company. Plus meetings and moving into the office space, briefings with him and the boys, and consultations with new clients. I don't have time to be strolling down memory lane. It wasn't until Wednesday evening that I remembered Greg coming to talk to me about his friend. With the threat, and husband who did not want to let go. Livid, that would be the first thing I felt. I remember thinking, very briefly, when I first saw her, about the connection, but it instantly fled when all hell followed our collision. I need more information, and I need it yesterday. I don't know what kind of threat she is under, and I don't even really know much about her marriage. I assumed for so many years that she was happy. I was crushed and pissed because I couldn't bring myself to barge into her life if she was happy. Even now, craving answers as fiercely as I do, my main focus is figuring out what is happening with this douchebag. The time to get my answers will come, but first we will be talking about this husband of hers. I waited for her call yesterday, anticipating some bullshit reason why she wouldn't be able to meet today. I hadn't expected her to pull some vanishing act and hide all day. I should have. When lunch rolled around today and I still hadn't heard from her, I set off for her house. When I got there to find it locked tight and no one home, I was pissed. I called Greg to see if maybe I could gain one fucking supporter in this fight. He said, "Not getting in this. She knows how I feel, and she will talk when she's ready. I don't agree with this, but I will support her because she's my girl." He was not happy when I blew up in his ear. She is not his goddamn girl. It didn't matter how many times I asked or straight up demanded. He wasn't telling me where they were. Imagine my shock when I got a call not even an hour later from Greg, spitting fire and giving up her location. When I arrived and walked into a tattoo parlor of all places, my rage joined his. Fuck, those tits looked fucking hot, though. After another 5-minute drive and sporadic soft sniffles from Izzy, I pulled up to the security gate of my house. After entering the code, I pull the truck up my driveway. I feel like I'm looking at the house from a new set of eyes, trying to see how she will view my success. I might be a 31-year-old man, but even that doesn't stop me from hoping she sees how far I've come, how I have finally taken myself from orphaned and penniless to this. Part of the plans we once made together, only this isn't the one-bedroom apartment we had our eyes set on. As much of a douche as it might make me, an even smaller part of me hopes she feels just an ounce of jealousy for how good my life is and see how much I was able to accomplish without her in my life. How laughable that thought is. I would have gladly given every single penny to my name away if it meant I would have had my Izzy with me all these years. But this Izzy? No, I don't even know this Izzy. The house I bought was over the top. I know this, but fuck if I would ever live cramped for space again. I'm sure there are plenty of shrinks who would love to get into my head. There's plenty of jacked up shit in there. I know why I bought this place, and I don't need anyone to tell me that I am making up for my childhood haunts. We clear the last of the Bradford pears that line my half-a-mile drive, and the house is coming into view, large and imposing. The deep red bricks almost look black against the night sky. The light next to the red double front doors beams bright and cheerful, almost inviting. Again, laughable. The colonial-style house is made to be a home, not this farce I have going. The huge front porch looks cozy with the rocking chairs positioned between the large 4 columns, and the flowers look domestic. It is just some huge juxtapose of my life. The outside doesn't match the inside. The house is just as vacant as I feel right now, and I don't like it at all. Time to get this over with. Time to figure out whatever the issue is with her husband and find out what the fuck happened to her. Izzy is still just gazing out her window, but since we are sitting in my dark garage, my guess is this is her attempt at avoiding me. How the hell she plans on doing that when she is in my damn house and unable to leave without me taking her is beyond me. I can feel my temper rising. I'm fighting myself for control. Control against my own frustrations, control over the pain that has no place in my heart anymore, and control against my raging hard-on that seems to be pointing right at Izzy. I've never had this many issues with controlling the situations around me. She must feel my eyes on her because she finally turns to me. What now? It's barely a whisper, and if I hadn't been looking at her, I might have missed it. Get out of the truck. We talk. Simple as that. It only becomes this giant mess of immature games when you become difficult. So work with me, because I'm sick of fucking playing games. I think that is nice enough until the tears start rolling down her velvety cheeks. God damn it. I climb down from the cab and start making my way around the hood to her side, fully expecting to have to pull her out and throw her over my shoulder. Surprisingly, she is waiting next to the door, and is clearly pissed about her long climb down. This way. The welcome is just rolling off my words. I'm sure she can feel the vibes choking her. It's hard to miss when someone would rather be anywhere than with the person they are with. Hard to tell if I would even be going through all this shit if it hadn't been for Greg and his request to help his friend. My gut tells me that I should just leave her alone, forget about her and the answers I crave. My gut is screaming at me to let it die, pass it over to Locke or Coop, and pretend I never looked back into those pale green eyes again. Fat chance of that. I open the door to the mudroom off the garage and motion for her to enter. The house is dark, so she pauses next to the door. Coming in behind her, I enter the alarm code and snap on the light to the kitchen. There are chrome appliances, dark wood cabinets, granite countertops, and a whole lot of nothing else. No table, just 2 bar stools next to the island. It screams welcome home. I point over to the stool and bark off one word. Sit. She is looking at her feet, doesn't even attempt to fight me, and sits. I give her a second. She knows why we are here, so hopefully she will just tell me what I need to know without making this a big deal. 10 minutes go by, with me looking at her and her wringing her hands together in her lap. Talk, I bark, the sound vibrating off the naked walls. If I hadn't been observing her for the last eternity, I might have missed the small jump she takes at my tone. It's hard to tell if I scared her or if something else is working behind her eyes when she snaps her head up.
I don't know what you want me to say.
More whispers. Seems like I might need hearing aids for this conversation. Well, let's see. I didn't drag you down here to give you a tour. I don't need to catch up on the latest town gossip. And I sure as fuck didn't bring you here for the company, so that just leaves one thing. First, you explain in detail what is going on with your husband. I spit the word out, the bitterness on my tongue loud and clear. Then you can explain to me what that fucked up package meant. Details, Izzy. This isn't a game, and I tell you this. If it hadn't been for Greg basically begging me to help you, I would not be doing this. It takes her a second. I can see my words working around her mind. She opens her mouth a few times, but words never come out. Right when I start to lose any thread of patience I have left, she finally speaks.
Can't someone else do this? Do you have to be the one?
I want to throttle her. Fucking bullshit. Greg will owe me big for this. And the high school bullshit. He didn't ask me personally to take your shit for the hell of it. I'm good at what I do, Izzy. Locke and Coop, sure, they could do it, but I can do it better. Now, what the fuck? She closes her eyes for a few minutes before inhaling deeply.
Brandon, my ex, well, almost ex, we had a challenging marriage. I left a little over 2 years ago and moved here. He's been fighting the divorce.
Didn't take much of a deduction to guess she was leaving something out. A whole lot of something. Let me ask you something, Izzy. How do you expect me to look into this, into him, without anything other than you're telling me your perfect marriage didn't work? What, did he cheat on you or something? Finally get enough of living the perfect little life? Tell me, because I just don't get it. The little I was able to dig up this week makes it look like you had everything your little heart desired. And what I really don't get, what I really don't understand, is why he won't just let you go. Even to my own ears, that comes out harsher than I intended it to. A little light on this situation would have been nice, because when she bursts into tears and runs off into the darkened halls of my house, I am completely thrown. Shocked. What in the fucking hell? Grumbling like a fool, I take off to find her. Almost 30 minutes later, I finally narrow the search. Really, it shouldn't have been this much of a challenge, since I have more empty rooms than furniture. This is what I get for buying a 6-fucking-bedroom house I do not need. I look in every room on the main floor. Nothing. I jog up the stairs and look in every room. Nothing. I finally catch a break when I pass the bedroom next to the stairs. Soft crying. I already checked this room, and she wasn't there. I used this room to store all my old case files. Being that all the other rooms except the one I sleep in are empty, she couldn't have picked a better hiding spot. I finally find her wedged between 2 big stacks of boxes. She has completely moused her way between them and turned into herself, legs pulled close to her chest, and arms wrapped tightly around her body. She is rocking, fucking rocking, back and forth. Izzy, come out. I try. Nothing but soft cries. Come on now, get out of there. And try. Silence. Really, Izzy, I'm too fucking big to crawl in there for you. Out. And try. I keep going for 10 long-ass, frustrating minutes with no luck. Enough of this shit. I start picking up the boxes around her, moving one at a time away from her small, ball-like body. Once I have enough cleared that I can touch her, I reach my hand out to pull her up and out. I don't expect her to throw herself back away from my outstretched hand. She has holed herself up so well that there isn't much room between her head and the wall. She makes contact with a sick thud. Fuck! I hiss out before scooping her up and carrying her down to my room. Flicking the lights on with my elbow, I walk over to the bed and place her gently down against the mattress before running my fingers through her hair. Nice lump, stupid girl. All right, Izzy, enough of this. Now we can add explaining what the hell that was to the list. My patience is shot, blown to fucking dust. My mood is deteriorating with every second, and she just looks at me with empty eyes. It's like she isn't even here with me. She just keeps roaming her eyes over my face. As pissed as I am right now, I can't help but become sucked into her all over again. She looks so scared, but it's the longing I see all over her face that has me transfixed. It's like someone just kicked her puppy, killed her cat, and told her she wouldn't get a pony for Christmas. Please, talk. She jumps at my hushed pleading. It takes her a minute and more of that heavy analyzing gaze before she speaks again. Her tone is dead. She sounds so small and defeated. Chills break out all over my body with her next words.
It was so hard, Ax. So hard.
She looks away, focusing off into space instead of on me.
The first year was okay. He worked a lot, but it wasn't bad. He didn't want me to work. Said the only thing I needed to do was care for him, the house, and any kids. What did I know? Stupid, broken is. What did I know, huh?
She finally looks back at me. She looks like some spirit has returned, but not much. I know this won't be good before she even says a word. I have to fight the urge to punch something, reminding myself that I asked for this.
The second year was when he started to change a little. We didn't go visit my grandparents as much. He was always asking me to stay home and not meet Dee for lunch or dinner. Little things that I didn't notice at first, until they became big things.
She gives a bitter snort before taking another big intake of air.
I hadn't seen Dee in a few weeks. I think it was a Wednesday. I don't know. He was going to be late that day, and the only thing I could think was, finally I can see Dee. A half-hour coffee date with Dee turned into a split lip. I didn't even think he was out of line, you know. I thought I deserved it. I think Dee always knew things were off in the Hunter house. About a month after that, I ran into her again. She begged me to open up to her, but I told her I was fine. Fine. What a joke that was.
If I couldn't feel my blood rushing through my body right now, I would be convinced I have turned to stone. Words were beyond me, and my earlier taunts were smacking me all in the face. I will kill this motherfucker. Princess. I reach down for her hand, but she pulls it close to her body. Was that the only time he put his hands on you? I try for soft, but the lethal fury in my voice can't be missed.
For a while. They didn't start getting bad for another few months. He acted like he was sorry, and it was an accident. They didn't get bad until around our 3rd anniversary.
What exactly is defined as bad? Because I can't find any good way for a man to touch a woman like that. When her eyes come back to me, and that single fat tear slips from her eye, I know. I just know.
Don't you feel pity for me? This wasn't your mess. You didn't make him do it. I should have left, been strong enough to leave. I didn't have anyone, Axel, so don't think I didn't think about it. He was smart. He cut me off from everyone. I didn't even get to go to my grandmother's funeral, and Pop, he wasn't doing well either. I didn't want Dee to know how bad it was. I was stuck with no one.
This heavy pain shoots through my left side at her words. I should have been there, and as ridiculous the thought is, I can't shake the thought that I let this girl down somehow. I have spent years hating her, thinking she had just forgotten us and moved on. To know she suffered is not sitting well.
You know about Mom and Dad, right?
She looks up at me, all sad and broken, for confirmation. With my weak nod, she continues.
Dee was all I had left. She finally caught me alone one day. I was picking up some groceries. That was one of the only things I was allowed to do alone. She pulled me into the bathroom and begged me to talk, begged me to leave. I brushed her off again. She bought me a prepaid phone and told me to call her day or night if I needed her. We were able to sneak a few calls and secret meetings, but not many. She didn't live far, close enough to come when I could get away.
She stops for a while, and I just sit there. struck dumb, waiting on her to continue, all the while struggling not to go find this fucker.
Are you sure we need to go over this? It isn't pretty, Axel.
I want to scream. No, I don't want to hear this. Anything but this. Yeah, Izzy. Keep going.
Okay.
Pause.
Well...
Pause. Inhale. Exhale.
A few years back, I went to meet Dee. Nothing big, just wanted to see her. We had it all planned. I called her the day before from the phone she gave me, told her I missed her, and just wanted to spend some time together. I set dinner in the slow cooker, ran my errands, and snuck in a Dee visit. It would have been fine, and he never would have been the wiser, but I was running late. He got home right after me, and even though I thought I had made it, he knew.
She stops and levels her eyes with mine. Her eyes almost look gray. Her eyes always used to change with her moods, and gray was always the one I hated the most.
That was the night I finally used that phone for her to save me.
I don't realize I'm not breathing until my chest starts hurting. I can't even move. Can't even allow myself to move. My God.
I got lucky. When I passed out, the game wasn't fun anymore, and for the first time, he left after he finished with me. Dee got there and got me out quick. I haven't seen him since the day I picked up my stuff. The divorce has been in limbo for the last 6 or so months.
I can't stand to hear this story. I wish to God this were just a tale, not the life she was living when I thought she was happy. Not touching her is becoming unbearable. I reach over and grab her hand before she is able to pull it away, rubbing my thumb over her soft skin and looking into her eyes. As hard as it is for me to hear, it can't be easy to retell. I don't even know what to say right now, Princess. I just don't know. It kills me to know you had to live with any abuse for a second, but years. Izzy, I have never wished harder that I would have been there. Before I even finish speaking, she wrenches her hand away and scoots to the other side of my bed.
No, you do not call me that, Axel, and we are not going there. I've explained my marriage, but I will not go there with you. Leave it in the past, please.
Her raw desperation is the only thing that keeps me from fighting her on this. We will be talking about that, but I'm smart enough to know she will shut down if I force her now. All right, Izzy, I got you. Explain the package to me. Greg told me what it was, but I don't get how it matches the story you told me. Did you have kids? The cost my control takes to get that out with a neutral tone is high. The thought of another man touching her is enough, but to think of another man planting his seed in her body? Unimaginable. She was mine. She is mine. She will always fucking be mine. I can see the walls coming up instantly. She is blocking me out and masking her emotions perfectly. I have no idea what made her shut down this time. I could stick a metal rod up her ass and she still wouldn't be as stiff as she is right now.
We couldn't have children, she says quickly and quietly. That's all that was, a reminder that I couldn't give him children.
Done. That statement is said in such a way that I know there will be no talking about that in detail. I'll give her that play. I don't know many women who aren't a little upset about not being able to have children, and deep down, I can admit the world without a chance of more Izzy in it is a dull place. That was the first time he contacted you? I ask, in an attempt to change the subject, making a mental note to ask Greg for more detail later.
Not at first. I think he had a hard time finding me. I just recently started working. So he would have had to look for Dee to find me. There have been some calls, but nothing bad. Not until the package.
There's something I'm missing. I can't ignore the feeling that there is a big part of this picture missing. This asshole has been pretty silent and distant for so long. With the exception of the divorce holdup, he hasn't been making waves. Something is off, but I can tell she isn't going to open up much more. I check the time and see that it is creeping up on dawn, just cementing the fact that we are done for the night. We need to sit down with Greg and the boys. I need to check out the system in your house, and then you need to tell me how you want this to go. But that can all wait for tomorrow. It's late, and I'm sure your earlier brush with adventure isn't exactly keeping you wide awake. I'll grab some clothes. You can use the bathroom, then sleep. We can call the guys over in the morning." Her eyes are wide and shocked.
"I'm not sleeping here. You can take me home, or I can have someone come get me. You wanted to talk, and we talked. Now I want to leave."
Throwing my head back and laughing was probably not the wisest move, but she must be out of her fucking mind if she thinks I am going to let her out of my sight before I can nail down a solid plan. She doesn't know it yet, but we are about to become the best of friends. "Not fighting about this shit. It's late, and I'm sure anyone you would call has already gone to bed. One night isn't going to fucking kill you, babe. This bed might as well have the Gulf in the middle of it. I'll stay on my side. Tomorrow we will figure this out and get this mess straightened out. Don't piss me off. Take the clothes, go get fucking cleaned up, and sleep." I walk over to the dresser and yank out a tee and some briefs, tossing them over to her, hitting her right in her stunned face. That seems to knock her out of whatever has her all tied up. With a huff and a whole lot of sass, she stomps over to my bathroom and slams the door. I feel the strings of the years of hating her slowly start to loosen. I can't ignore the desire to make her mine. It is still there, but I can't forget that she left and forgot about me pretty damn easily. I will take care of this problem, and then we will take care of us. We have enough to deal with right now. Figuring out everything else can wait. I just can't decide if I want to figure us out for closure or to bring us back together. Only time will tell, one thing at a time. I step out of the room, pull my phone out of my pocket, and dial up Greg. One ring and that fucker answers like he has been waiting. I'm not sure what to take from their relationship, but I am not happy with how close they seem. "Is she okay?" he asks, and fuck me, he sounds wrecked. No, not wrecked. He sounds destroyed. "She will be. Told me about the ex. You did not tell me he fucking hurt her. You did not tell me a fucking thing about how bad it was, Greg. Problem husband, not wanting a divorce. That is what you said. Can you imagine my shock when I find out he slapped her around?" "Act like a bitch later, Reed. How is she?" "That shit isn't finished with me and you. Hear me that. She's changing. Keeping her here for tonight. Family meeting, motherfucker. My house, tomorrow morning." I should be glad she has someone determined to be her support, but that is getting locked down. I am back, and Greg isn't taking that job from me. "She's sleeping there? You have one bed, Reed. I can be there in 10 to take her home. I'll stay there until tomorrow when we can get together. Then we can reassess." "No, end it, Greg. I will fight you and fight you hard on this one." His harsh exhale comes over the line. "I don't like this, not one fucking bit. If you fuck her up, swear to fucking Christ, I will kill you." I pull the phone away from my ear. Surely I did not just hear him right. "No time, Greg. We will talk, but right now I have more important things to deal with. If you take anything from me right now, know this, and remember, never would I harm a fucking hair on her head. Never." "If you believe that, Reed, then you're more delusional than I thought. I guarantee you, just being there is hurting her enough to last a lifetime." With that, I hear him hang up, leaving me more confused than I was earlier tonight.
Chapter 11. If I could stay inside this lush bathroom all night, I would. My heart feels like it's been torn from my body and trampled on. Gutted, completely gutted. It was hard enough to live through those years with Brandon, but I did, and I have worked so hard to move on. Rehashing that with the one person who has always held my heart, the one person I thought was gone forever, the pain is unfathomable. Never in my wildest dreams did I believe Axel would be back in my life. The severe torment of just knowing he has always been very much alive is what is weighing on me the hardest right now. I keep running through my head all the things I needed him by my side for, all the things I was forced to deal with alone. When he asked me about the picture, my heart stopped. Right there in the middle of his room, it just stopped. I'm not under the delusion that Axel is back and mine. Oh, that ship has sailed. I held on to the smallest hope that he was out there somewhere, but I can't ignore the fact that he left me. He left me, And when he did that, he left his baby, the baby that I wasn't able to protect. Of course, Brandon would know how hard that was for me. Not that he was ever willing to share me with any child we would have created, but he knew why I had so readily agreed never to have children. My baby is gone, just like its father, and that is something I will never share with him. He doesn't deserve to know, and if I'm honest with myself, I doubt he will care. After all, if he could so easily leave the person he professed to love so deeply, a child wouldn't change anything. I make quick use of his bathroom. I take a brief shower, wincing when the hot water rolls over my sore nipples. I dry off quickly and pull on the soft tea that smells like Axel. It hits me all the way to my knees. Jesus, he wasn't this large when we were kids. He was tall, but never so solid. I don't even bother with the briefs. What's the point when I am already swimming in his tea? Running my fingers through my hair, I do a quick scan of his counter, look in some drawers and hope for an extra toothbrush. Negative. Isn't that just wonderful? Fuck it. That asshole wants me here, might as well use his shit. After I finish brushing and giving myself one hell of a stay strong mental lecture, out I walk. Shit. Fuck. There he is, walking back into the room all large and mouth-watering. I want to leave, run, and never look back. Which side? The slight wobble in my voice is hardly noticeable, and I am mentally cheering myself for keeping such a brave face.
Don't care. A bed's a bed.
And with that he walks into the bathroom and shuts the door. Well, I guess that's that, then. Walking over to the side farthest away from the bathroom door, I make quick work snapping the lights off and diving into the sheets and burrowing down. Naturally, my luck would be to pick the side he must sleep on. I feel like I have dived into an Axel-scented cloud. With just the hint of his scent, I can feel the memories slamming back, fast and fierce. Biting my lip as hard as I can without drawing blood, I squeeze my eyes shut, running through every single mental exercise I know to try and jump this massive hurdle. The past can't touch me. I am stronger than this. I am a survivor. Fuck you, fate. Fuck you hard. After a few minutes of listening to the shower and my inner chants, the stress of the week and the events of the day finally drag me under. Not long after that, the bed dips, and in my dreams I smile because I hear a soft whisper.
Missed you so fucking much, princess.
Sometimes dreams don't let you down because that is the only thing I have been waiting to hear since the day he left me forever. In my dreams, all my problems melt away because I am safe. Safe and back in Axel's arms.
I walk out of the bathroom after spending a fucking stupid amount of time in the shower taking care of the problem Izzy has stirred up, and just stand there, water still dripping down my chest, disappearing when it reaches the towel tightly knotted around my waist. Izzy is back in my bed. Fuck me. A weight that has been sitting solid on my shoulders for way too long lightens up. Not by much, but damn, anything is a relief. I should have known if she ever walked back into my life that I wouldn't be able to hold on to all of my anger. I walk around my side of the bed to get a closer look at the tiny ball under my sheets. And there it is, that face that can bring me to my knees. She looks so peaceful in her sleep, her hands folded under her cheek and her hair fanned out against my pillow. Like an angel. My princess. We have missed so much, wasted so much time. Even though I know how much we still have to work out, including the small detail of reminding her she is mine, I still can't fight the instantaneous contentment that washes over me. I feel whole again. I know better than to hope, but I can't help the thought that I would stop anything from taking her from me again. Walking back over to the other side, I drop the towel and climb in. She makes a small whimper in her sleep that has me throwing caution to the wind and shifting to wrap her in my arms. Missed you. So fucking much, princess. And with Izzy back in my arms, pressed tight with no gap between our bodies, I finally find sleep.
The first thing I notice when I start to wake up the next morning is how unbelievably warm I am. Finally, Dee is listening to me when I tell her we can't keep bumping the AC down to Arctic temps. I nestle in, wiggling and trying to find that perfect spot that will take me back to the blissful sleep I was just in. That wiggle is all it takes for me to become wide awake and all that warmth to wash away, leaving me frozen solid. There is a large hand covering my very tender breast, and soft breathing tickling my neck. That warmth I was loving a second ago is kicking my ass, almost quite literally. I can feel the solid, very naked wall of muscle and strength against my back, fitting like a glove tight against my body. I try to pull my legs up, but they are tangled with larger, hairy ones. The biggest, and I mean biggest, issue I seem to have right now is a large erection poking me, settled right against my pussy, and all that wiggling, all that searching I was doing for the warmth in my sleep, all that did was cause me to drip with desire. Cracking one eye open, I take in the room. My trip around the large master starts with one tall dresser and ends with a pile of laundry on the floor next to it. Other than that, empty. Looking down at the offending arm that holds me tight to its owner's body, I try to think of a way out of this hold. He has his arms snaked up my shirt, cupping my breast tightly like it's his anchor. Shifting, I try to dislodge him naturally, but all I get is a tightening of his hand and arm and pressure pulling me even snugger against his body. Blast my stupid hormones. His rock-hard erection just jutted even deeper between my legs, hitting my clit with a sharp jab. I suck in a sharp breath of pure pleasure. Oh my God, I need to get him away from me. I slam my elbow back, earning a grunt and more tightening. Shit, just my luck. My body is telling me to start humping. My heart is telling me to run, and my mind is sitting there enjoying a cigarette as his hips start to move against me. "Axel Reed, you wake up right now!" I yell. "Get your paws off my tit and call your dick off its search for my pussy. He found it, asshole. Now back off." Oomph. That's all I get. Nothing. He pulls me back again. Only this time I have the added bonus of some whiskers against my neck and some humming. If he has a wet dream against my body, I might kill him. "Axel!"
Shut up, Izzy. I'm trying to enjoy this.
Wide awake. That jackass is wide awake. Not even a small sliver of sleep left in his voice. I move to pull away, grinding my hips against his dick again, not even able to keep the moans silent. Finally, after a small struggle to detangle my legs and push his arm away, I am free. I scoot all the way over to the edge and jump off the bed. I turn, ready to ream him a new one, but stop dead. Mouth drops, and I am drooling, I'm sure of it. Perfection. He's lying against his stark white sheets, all large and solid. He has one thick arm thrown over his eyes and one resting against his perfectly sculpted abdomen. Both of his arms are sporting some thick tribal tattoo that wrap around both shoulders and around the front of his chest. He has a large angel against his side with her hands brought forward in prayer, and her wings wrapping around to his back. I can't see her face clearly, but from here I can tell it is a beautiful piece. My eyes travel down and see some more ink disappearing under the sheet riding low on his hips. The thin sheet is doing nothing to hide the tenting from his erection. Long, solid, strong, and very aroused. He moves his arms and his bright emerald eyes meet my startled ones. I do one more sweep of his body before looking back and meeting his questioning look. "Holy shit, what happened to you?" I praise. At least it should have sounded like a praise, but it came out more like a weak whimper. He gives a soft laugh, which just makes all those lickable muscles clench. I want to lick them so badly.
You talking about the ink or the body? Hit a growth spell, grew a little, work out hard. My body is my protection, so I can't slack. Nothing much has changed.
He has got to be joking. "Nothing much has changed?" I echo him. "You look like you gained 50 or more pounds of solid muscle. Maybe a few inches, because I do not remember you looking like that. And yeah, well, the tattoos are definitely new."
Things change when you go from a kid to a man, Izzy. I'm still me.
I don't know about that, and you're right, things change.
You might be you, but I am damn sure not the me I was. I dig deep to collect my thoughts and my brain off the floor. I don't have anything to wear, and I would like to get ready to go home now. There, that should close the conversation up real quick. Yeah, avoid. Got it. Dresser, grab some sweats and a new tee. I'll meet you downstairs. He is so quick that I don't have a second to turn as he whips the sheet off, displaying his body completely and rendering me even more speechless. Not much changed my ass. Looks like his few inches weren't just in his height. With heavy steps and a tense body, he walks into his closet and slams the door. I run to the dresser and then enter the bathroom to get dressed. 30 minutes later, I make my way down the long hall and stairs, searching for the kitchen. It shouldn't be too difficult, but this house is huge, and judging by the smells, breakfast is cooking. I made a few wrong turns and only find more empty space. He must have just moved in last weekend. There is absolutely nothing here. Rounding the corner, I finally walk into the kitchen. Axel is standing next to the island stove flipping some bacon. The eggs are already dished off to the side, and some orange juice fills in a cup next to the stool. Sit and eat. Greg and the gang should be here within the hour. He leaves no room for argument. Just gives me a cold stare and throws some bacon on my plate before fixing himself some food and leaning his hip against the island and digging in. We sit like that, in silence, while we finish up. He doesn't even look at me. Not one time does he even glance my way. I should be comforted by this, but I would be lying if I said it doesn't bother me that he is able to turn everything off. Try as I might, having him this close to me again is messing with my mind. I just want to run into his arms and let everything just wash away. Forget the world. Clearing my throat, I break the silence. So, what happens now? I would really like to go home. Told you last night we would discuss where to go with everyone else. You will go home when we figure out what happens next. Don't take this lightly, Iz. We might not know why he sent that, but it was for a reason. My job is to find out why and what kind of threat, if any, it holds on you. I'm beyond frustrated. All I want to do is go home and hide from my problems and from Axel. The last thing I want is for him to be a permanent fixture in my life. I just have to hope Greg and Dee can keep quiet about everything else they know that Axel doesn't. I am still silently stressing over what would happen if Axel finds out everything else when a door slams and heavy steps echo throughout the house. If Axel's relaxed body language hadn't stayed the same, I might be concerned. This must be the cavalry arriving. Yo, Reed, where you at? Voice 1 booms through the house. I'm fucking starved, Coop. Reed better have some food this time, Voice 2 says. Too early for this shit. My head is still swimming from being up all night buried balls deep in Jasmine. Or was it Jane? Judy? Voice 3 grumbles. Shut up, asshole. Greg, I'd know that voice anywhere. I look up and Axel slams his plate into the sink and gives a hard look to the open doorway. It is the soft giggling after Greg's voice that has me snapping my head up and staring right along with him. Dee? What is she doing here? Dee pushes through first and immediately rushes over to wrap her slim arms around me. You okay? I will be. I just want to leave. Soon is. You have to trust these guys. I know that won't be easy, but they know what they're doing, she whispers in my ear. How are you even here? Didn't Greg take you home last night? She pulls back and looks away, but not before I catch the blush that dances across her skin. What the hell is that about? You two done with your female shit? We need to talk. I look up to Axel's stormy green eyes and frown. Remember, this little tea party was your idea. Don't get a stick up your ass because you got your demands answered. The group behind me lets out a few manly grunts, either in humor or shock that I would snap at the bear. I look over at this testosterone-driven group, avoiding Greg's face but not missing the small upturn of his lips. Coop and Beck are doing their best to not laugh, while Locke looks like he has better things to do, but I don't miss the mirth dancing in his dark eyes. Shut up, Izzy. This isn't a fucking game. Locke, you find out where the X is? Yeah, California. Business convention or some shit. The chippy secretary told me he left out Wednesday afternoon with his new girlfriend. Doesn't seem to have a care in the world. What? I ask. Really, he can't sign the divorce papers, but he can keep his bed warm? No one answers me. But then again, an answer isn't really needed. Coop, background check back? Axel continues.
Clean. Few parking tickets, but nothing serious. Looks like he had some issues with fighting in high school, but wasn't anything past college. Credit card debt sitting at a nice $65K.
He looks over at me with sympathy before continuing.
Escorts, there was some small gambling, but most of it is racked up in escorts and some local strip joints.
That throws me for a loop. As much of an asshole Brandon was, he was always there and always controlling. How did I not even know about this side of him?
Beck, anything?
Axel asks, his tone harsher than before.
Not much. Talked to a few people who will do more digging for me locally. If it's there, I will find it.
What? What are you talking about? I direct my question to Beck, figuring my luck for an answer would be better with him.
Nothing, sugar. Nothing for you to worry about.
He has a smile on his face, but it isn't masking the seriousness in his posture. No, this is my life, and I don't want to be kept in the dark. Do not expect me to be okay with you just brushing me off. My temper is starting to rise, and even though I know these men mean well, I can't stand not knowing and not having just a little control.
Izzy, look at me, Axel says. Trust me to take care of this and not burden you with the unnecessary issues. I promise not to keep important information from you.
No, Axel. You want me to just let you play this white knight role with no issues? What the fuck ever? Too late for that shit. The only reason I'm here right now is because you wouldn't take me home last night. I'm not stupid, and I recognize that you're the best to figure out the situation, but I won't go at it blind. Every damn step I want to know everything, or I will go at it alone. I'm right up in his space, jamming my finger in his chest with as much strength as I can throw into that small jab. Rubbing his chest and stepping away, he says,
Jesus Christ, you are a pain in my ass. Beck is checking with some local cops to see what they know about Brandon. Nothing for you to worry about. Pulling a few favors and asking some locals to keep an eye on his goings.
And what are you expecting to find? I ask, not sure I like where this is going.
Not sure yet. With the money and the women, my guess would be drugs or at least something like that. I want every play I have in my hands before I go chat with this fucker.
What the hell are you talking about? Why would you go talk to him? Dee reaches over and grabs my hand. For the first time since this conversation started, I remember she is there.
You want a divorce, and you want him to leave you alone, right? He asks.
I think that would be pretty obvious.
Well, I talk and get you your divorce and also ensure he leaves you alone. Pretty simple.
I don't think so. I go through my lawyers for that, not you. The last thing I want is for Brandon and Axel to be around each other. I had a few pictures of Axel and Brandon when I first started dating. He might look different now, but it wouldn't take Brandon much to realize who he was, and that would not end well.
We'll see, Izzy. Leave it alone for now.
He gives me another hard look before brushing me off and looking back over to the group standing in the kitchen.
Greg, tell me about the setup at her house. Full system with every upgrade. There is no getting into her house without her wanting you there. When she sets the damn thing...
The last part is said with its usual frustration over me never remembering to set the alarm when I am home.
Damn it, look at me, Izzy.
I look back into his eyes.
I'm going to let that slide, for now, and only because this shit just started. But from now on, you said it. When you leave, when you come, when you are there, it is fully armed. No questions.
Whatever, I mumble. I know he's right. Doesn't mean I have to be nice about it. The conversation continues around me. Axel dishes out more duties, and they talk about the next step in getting Brandon out of my life. It seems to be agreed upon that I need to push stronger on the divorce and see if that can't end the connection. I have been pushing as strongly as I can, so that gets tossed out quickly. Finally, Axel says that someone needs to personally go talk to Brandon about signing. No, not happening, I say, cutting off Beck, who's about to reply to Axel. Let the lawyers handle this. I'm not asking for anything. The only thing I need is for him to sign.
Baby girl, he hasn't signed in 6 months. What makes you think he will just automatically wake up in the morning and sign? Greg asks.
Shut up, Greg! I spit back at him.
He flinches but recovers quickly.
I'm serious, Axel. You are not going to talk to him. I hold his eyes until he breaks contact and looks over at Maddox.
Fine, he spits out before looking over at Maddox. Book a flight and go visit this asshole.
Get the fucking signature. Whatever you need to do, and take Coop with you. He looks back at me and with an arrogant tone asks, Is that okay with you, princess?
I hate you,
I spit back at him, earning me a laugh. God, this is going to be a nightmare. I look over at Dee and motion her over. Time to find out why she is here. Well, spill, I whisper in her ear. Nothing to spill, she says, the bright blush sparkling her cheeks. Beck and I had some fun last night. No big deal. I knew it. Oh, we will be talking about this later. I can't believe you, Dee. Do you even know anything about him?
Come on, Iz. It was just some fun. Not going to happen again. He is one of those anti-relationship men. Fine by me. I was just looking to let out some stress anyway. And you need to let up on these guys. They aren't the enemy, Izzy. Please let them do their jobs. She lets out a huff of exasperation before walking back over to the group and throwing in some suggestions. What in the hell is going on?